Welcome to Triggered. I'm your host, Whitney Kell, where we turn your triggers into truth. Today, I'm so grateful. I feel honored to have many special guests with me today. And they're in the studio. They're not going to need a mic because they don't have a voice. But they've lived through me as triggers. And when I turned 14 years old, my mother got surgery for me. I had been bullied most of my childhood, and she wanted that to go away. She wanted to protect me. So she gave me surgery, and I was fitted for prosthetics. And I wore those prosthetics every single day for 28 years, hiding myself. I just wanted to fit in so desperately. Does anybody understand what that feels like, to be afraid to be who you are? We're in an interesting time, and I'm really grateful that being who I am, being authentic, removing my prosthetics, it's time. I mean, it is the time, not only in my podcast, but in society. I feel like being unique is the new normal. Knowing who you are, knowing and loving your unique self. I feel like that's the gift. That's the prize now. And maybe it took until I was 55 to really accept myself and really love the parts of myself that I've rejected for so long. So every year for 28 years, these get worn out, and I had insurance, and I was considered handicapped. So this was covered on insurance as a medical device that actually, it would help me. I could type, the things that I was able to do because of these was actually super helpful. And so I had them made every single year for 28 years because they wear out. They get shiny, and the nails get funky, and my color on my skin changes. And the French doctor, Dr. Pilet, is the one who made these for me year after year. I would go up to LA from San Diego, and I would have them painted, fitted. I mean, they've been a miracle to me for so long, protecting me from myself, as one of my mentors said, I'm a metaphor for people. People who don't like themselves, or someone who doesn't have a physical defect but feels the defect inside, hasn't accepted themselves, hasn't embraced themselves, doesn't love those edges. And then they see me, no fingers, happy, grateful, curious, transparent, and it gets uncomfortable. Marshall used to say, you are the metaphor. I am the trigger, which is how this evolved, how my podcast evolved over the years, is to share about who I am and be transparent about it and embrace it and be okay with it. There's so many people apologizing for who they are out there, and with good reason. I mean, there are different cultures that actually have been suppressed, including women, and we still are in certain countries, and other races. So there is good reason to not always feel super comfortable in our own lives. And I feel like we're in a time where it's time. It's really time to turn the triggers into truth. And the truth is that being different, being unique, not having fingers is actually super cool. What makes us unique is what gives us the power and the beauty. It's the edges. Wouldn't you agree? The things about people. I like edgy people. I like people who are a little bit quirky. I'm not big into the drama, but I definitely like people with an edge, with an opinion. Different. Different isn't always better, but better is always different. That is a truth for me, where I really enjoy people who aren't trying to be like everyone else, who really know themselves. And you know how you can tell the difference? Well, how I can tell the difference from somebody who knows themselves and someone who doesn't is how I feel in their presence. If my nervous system relaxes, and I don't feel a pulling energy. They're not needing to fill themselves up with validation or security or anything from me. They're full and they're meeting me chakra to chakra, a balanced, full, beautiful human. That is someone that I can really connect with and drop in with. And the purpose of me writing the book Trigger and doing this podcast and doing a 6-week course is to help those people. I have been there where I did not feel comfortable. I did not want to, I would never, ever have done this. Ever. I mean, I was nervous about doing it today. This is the first time I have publicly talked about my congenital defect and shared it openly. So anyone out there who's struggling and you don't have a congenital defect, you have things that you don't like about yourself, the way you look, the way you communicate, you think about things that are unkind about yourself. Maybe you're carrying what mom and dad said to you your whole life. Those triggers that people trip over, maybe even this podcast is very triggering for you. For whatever reason, I am the trigger. I am the metaphor for people to uncover and bring light into the parts of yourself that maybe you don't like, that maybe you're uncomfortable to accept, or you just haven't really given yourself the opportunity to connect with the part of yourself. And it's taken me years to get comfortable with myself in all areas. I mean, this is just one part of what makes me different. Trust me. If we had a conversation, you would understand. Well, I am having a conversation with you, but for those that come on the show, you'll really understand I think different than some people. Like the way that I see the world and the way that you see the world is likely completely different. I think that's true for every single human being. My dad was a born-again Christian, and he used to say, when you know the truth. And I always wondered why he didn't ask me what I believe, because I think every single one of us knows our own truth, who knows ourselves. When you know your truth, when you feel safe, comfortable, and can love those parts of yourself that you've rejected and hidden. I mean, I hid this for 28 years. 28 years of protecting myself, hiding myself. And when I actually removed my prosthetics, I thought, oh, hell was going to break loose. I did it in front of a group of about 350 people at Sundance, where I would do leadership talks. And the aftermath, I suspected everyone would come up to me. It was going to be wild. People were going to be like, oh my God, I had no idea. Really, no one did. No one noticed or cared. I'm not sure. Or maybe they didn't want to say anything. I did another talk at one point where I held the microphone in my hand like this. And at that point, I did start having people come up to me. And usually it was to tell me a story about someone that they knew who also had a defect, rather than asking a question or wondering what it was like to have this experience of feeling like I couldn't completely accept myself. And I know there's plenty of handicapped people out there, because I see them on videos that have accepted themselves, that actually inspire other people. And I admire and respect them so much. And I've not been ashamed. Really, I don't have shame for not have been ready to share who I am. There was a lot of pain attached to the triggers of my childhood. And I didn't feel safe or comfortable exploring that with anyone. And I still hide. It's just a habit. If you watch my podcast, I'll do this most of the time. And even one of the guys who sets me up, he was on my podcast. He didn't even notice. So most people won't notice because I hide it. It's just a pattern, kind of like every time I see a cop car go by, I know where they are, because I drove intoxicated for a long time before I quit drinking. So I know where the cops are. It's like I just know how to hide what I don't feel comfortable with. And now it's just a pattern. I think it's just something that hasn't completely unraveled. I do feel much more comfortable sharing myself, who I am. I've had some moments of discomfort where somebody would come up and say something inappropriate. And it's the way that people ask about it. I'm totally an open book, so I don't have issues. It's just when it's uncomfortable, or I want to say creepy, in the way that they would approach. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. Anybody out there who feels different and you've had someone approach you and bring it up in a way that was uncomfortable, I think you understand. But the trigger of being different is such a big part of my life, which is why I chose to do the podcast and write the book, because I have been working on my triggers for so long, really healing. And, I help people with their health and mental health and financial well-being for 20 plus years as a coach. So learning how to be transparent and just help people by being me. That's the evolution, I think, of humanity, is when every single one of us, which it takes time, has taken the time out to get to know themselves, has taken the time to sit with themselves. I mean, how many people sit in silence with themselves every day and really listened and tuned in to the voice inside, to what the words are that run through your body that actually are running your life? Because would you agree that whatever you think about, you bring about? So if I don't like myself because I'm embarrassed and ashamed that I'm different, opportunities to feel ashamed and that I don't like myself will keep reoccurring. Yes or no? So with the practices that I've been doing, I feel like I have something to share with people of how to overcome and how to rewire the brain from fear and resistance and resentment to gratitude and embracing ourselves, really going, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be different. I'm so grateful to be telling this story right now. And, when I got here, I was super nervous and I was very emotional. Because as I'm telling this story for the first time publicly, it has weight. It's a trigger for me. It's an emotional trigger that I'm really grateful to have. And I'm feeling it inside because it's revealing a part of myself that I have been stuffing and hiding and just plainly not revealing. Like, whether I was stuffing it and hiding it, I'm on the phone most of the time with my clients or on Zoom. And, I don't talk with both my hands. Generally, I talk with my left hand. So there's really not been anything to hide or disclose to them. I haven't used this story as a teaching tool to help another person overcome their triggers. Well, I am now, obviously, I guess. Here's the time. And there's definitely a part of me, because of the fact that there's so many people with handicaps that impair them so much greater, who've been talking about the story, sharing themselves, open about it, comfortable with themselves for so long, that there's part of me that's like, who cares? But this is my story, and I invite you to consider that your story is all yours. No one else can understand what I feel. No one. Doesn't matter how hard they try. It doesn't matter if they're a sister or a relative that was raised in the same household. No one will ever be able to understand your trigger compared to theirs. Now you can talk about it, maybe compare, and there will be some similarities, but that feeling that we have inside is all yours to uncover and discover. And for me, the way that I help people do that, identify the trigger. When we get overcome by emotions, that is a sign. And it's not a sign to run or disconnect. It's a sign to dive in. Why not? Why else are we here? Why are we here? Does anyone know? Is it to make money? Is it to provide for the children that you were told to have? Is it to provide for the spouse that you were told to have? Or the big mortgage that you have? Or in society to show up in a certain way because that's who you think you're supposed to be? I don't know. I can't answer that question. What I know for myself is why I'm here. My purpose is to know and love myself, to re-raise myself. Because while my parents did the best that they could, they kind of shit the bed. You know, my mom was an alcoholic and my father was emotionally unavailable. And my stepmother, recently enough, I found out and learned through going to my dad's funeral that she is a narcissist. So that was really powerful and empowered me to understand why she reacted to us in the way that she did. It wasn't that she didn't like me. I think narcissism to some degree in some people is really a mental illness. And that just relieved me so much of feeling like I wasn't liked. And the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel, I have been studying for decades. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel is one of my favorite books. The second agreement is one of the purposes and reasons for triggered. Don't take things personal. The thing about triggered for me is that when I get triggered, I'm taking it personal. That's in my experience for me, or I'm making an assumption, or I'm not being impeccable with my word with myself. The 4th agreement is always do your best, but part of triggered weaved into what I've learned, what I want to share, is the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, because I've listened to that book on audio and read it live multiple times. And what I believe is the things that trigger us allow us to get to know ourselves better. If we choose to get to know ourselves better, if we want to uncover the parts of ourselves that are waiting to be uncovered, right? That we're hiding every single day behind so that we feel like we fit in, and everybody doesn't feel the same way. So I'm trying to feel like I fit in with normal people, but what is normal anymore? We're all having our own experience. We're all from other planets. I actually do believe that. I'll leave that for another episode. But, we're all receiving life through different channels. Not one person has had the same upbringing. I mean, okay, so brothers and sisters, you've had similar upbringings, but because if you think about it, when my mom raised me, she was super young. Back in the old days, they were young. My mom was born in 1943, and she was raised in foster care. So how she raised my sister, who is even 16 months older, is different than how she raised me, because we are learning and growing. Yes or no? So the first child is the test child, and the second child gets a different version of mom or dad. Whether that's better or not, I can't tell you that. What I know for sure is that the only person who can re-raise us is us. And for me, that's been my practice in my coaching business, is holding the mirror, asking questions, and helping people see themselves so that they better understand themselves, because the triggers are coming no matter what. Yes or no? How many people live a life untriggered? Some people probably do. When you're not in a lot of relationships, I imagine that is a lot easier to not feel triggered. But if you're in any relationships with anyone, and even social media now can trigger different emotions, you are being triggered. And what I want to help people with is identifying the trigger, going inside, not worrying about what people think on the outside, but going inside our bodies, inside our minds, really holding the breath to the count of 4, letting it out. And what happens? I'm going to squeeze my pelvic floor, and I'm going to breathe light in from my pelvic floor up into my heart, just to catch my own breath. I invite you to do it with me. What happens for me when I go inside is I feel so good. There's no problems when I'm quiet. When I'm in my breath and in the present moment, everything else disappears. And I have so much freedom, and I'm so grateful. And the reality that this is now becoming acceptable, I'll never forget when I told, I've coached and trained doctors for many, many years. And one of the doctors in the Bible Belt told me, quit asking us to meditate. Because I would ask everyone to meditate when I would get on a call with them. Meditation is working so well in my life. And it was the first time where I'm able to quiet the busy brain, the monkey mind. I'm sober for 26 years. I do think isms or people who have mental challenges have more challenges meditating. But I think that's why it's even more important. But for me, the more time I've spent inside, during COVID was a great experience for me for private time because I live alone, I'm single, and not only did I went into a coma for 3 days, and then COVID hit right after I came out of the coma, and then I had to have heart surgery, which I had aortic bicuspid stenosis surgery. And I'd be happy to share with anybody. I did it at Cedars-Sinai. I planned it like a project. And because I meditated and I was very intentional about that as a life project, because I make no assumptions that life is supposed to be easy or that I'm supposed to have certain things. For me, life has been challenging and I've had to overcome. When I overcome, I have a lot of power and it builds character in me. And so when things come in now that are challenging, like right now, I'm in the middle of dealing with a situation with an uncle I didn't know I have and being named as an heir. And of course I want to lead. And having all that responsibility and the emotions that come in and how I overfunction so that everybody feels okay, it's just lesson after lesson. And because I am actually seeing these things, these triggers, opportunities now, they're opportunities. So where do I need to know myself deeper? Where do I need to grow here? Is it painful while I'm in it? Yeah. I've gotten better at it. Kind of like driving here. Driving's a huge trigger for me. So what I did today, for example, is on the way here, I remember a black SUV sitting in front of me and just sitting there and not moving because people here in traffic do very strange things. I don't know if it's because everybody's on their phone, maybe, or maybe they're elderly or they're from a different part of the world or they're not paying attention. I don't know. I drive when I'm driving. I like to drive. I would love to race car drive. I'd probably be really good at it. But on the way here, instead of reacting, I did honk on the way here. But when I saw this black car and it stopped in front of me, it was an opportunity. I could feel my trigger coming up and I was like, okay, that's someone's brother. That's someone's mother, somebody's sister. I am going to have compassion and empathy and give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be generous with my assumptions with that individual, that they're doing the best that they can in that car today, and that I can sit back and take a breath, driving on my way to this podcast, living in the United States of America, getting to experience something for the first time publicly to share this. I feel like the luckiest person in the world at moments. Life is better at 55 than it's ever been. And I think it's true and can be true for everyone out there. So in closing, I want to say thank you for being a witness to this sacred moment for me. It feels really special and very healing. And anyone out there who hasn't had a chance to share your story, I've been journaling this out for years. And now's the time where I get to share it out loud. And I so want to thank you for being present with me through this conversation and through whatever it is that you're going through. I accept you. Whatever you're feeling, anger, resentment, whatever, love, gratitude, empathy. I used to trigger me when people would feel sorry for me. Oh, how people will, how some people will come across as feeling sorry for you. That is not the energy that I ever felt like I really wanted to receive. So to be standing in, feeling more empowered after this podcast, that was something I asked on the way here. I actually talked to ChatGPT back and forth about how I wanted to unravel this story, and really just being present with it and not performing it was my intention. And I hope that that is what you experienced today. And again, I just want to thank you for the girl with the bag of fingers. It used to be the golden box of fingers. When I had a home, I used to have this in a really pretty box. And I think I'll do that again. Because this is like a bag of triggers. It's like my, the war wounds that we have along the way. So you can find me anywhere podcasts are available. Thank you for joining me for Triggered. I'm Whitney Kell, where I help you turn your triggers into truth. What I have for you is a free ebook. I am offering a 6-week course to take you through tracking your triggers. And I am on all the socials, so just reach out and give me a shout out that you saw this episode, or make a comment, and I would love to hear how it impacted you. Thank you so much for being part of this journey with me.